Today on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat, the 25-foot Hydra-Sports build is in full swing, with the engine and trim tabs being mounted and installed.
They're going to help the performance of this boat, especially with the single outboard, get the nose down and get them out of the hole a little better.
Also, the bracket and engine are bolted onto the 23-foot Seacraft project after some time-robbing challenges.
It's a 50-50 shot. I could just throw these engines on and go, well, I hope I got the right one on the right side, you know.
Making way for FS Boating editor Dave East to join owner Taylor Mason in putting its fishing capability to the test out of Ocean Reef, Florida.
The boat is amazing. I think your vision and what Brian did to the boat turned out to be absolutely a gem.
All coming up on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Having already undergone all major fiberglass repairs and customization, a brand new paint job, the addition of a new engine bracket, T-top, and more. Join us as the crew at MCU continues to work on the 25-foot Hydra-Sports project.
All right, guys, so back to the 25 Hydra-Sport we're building for Rick Weinstein. He's made a big decision. He had some options. He could have went with twin outboards. He decided to go with the single 300. The boat used to be powered with a 2-stroke. Now they have these 4.2-liter Yamaha 4-stroke 300s. They've got way more low-end torque, more mid-range power, all around just a better motor. So he could have went either way. At the end of the day, he had a lot of money to spend and put into the boat and invest into it. And really, he didn't have to have the 2 engines. It's not going to be used as much for crossing the ocean and things like that, where you'd want the redundancy of the 2 motors. And with the single outboard nowadays, with the weight horsepower ratio, you really can get away with going with a single 300 on a boat this size. All right, so on the back of the 25 Hydra-Sport, now that we've got the single 300 Yamaha going on, we've made a decision on the trim tabs. We're gonna go a little bit oversized. We've got these really nice high performance tabs we're gonna put on the transom of the boat. I'm excited, they look really nice. They're gonna be powerful, they're gonna work really good, and they're gonna help the performance of this boat, especially with the single outboard, get the nose down and get them out of the hole a little better.
Trim tabs are a vital component to almost any boat. They allow the driver to have maximum control over the handling characteristics of the hull, while increasing speed, correcting for listing, reducing fuel consumption, improving visibility, and more. As a boat pushes forward attempting to plane, the stern squats, causing the bow to rise in the air. In this bow-high position, visibility is limited, a safety concern, and hull drag is significant, which causes poor fuel economy. With the proper trim tabs, the driver is able to plane the boat at lower speeds by pressing the bow down buttons, which extends the tab surface downward, significantly reducing bow rise and improving fuel efficiency. Also, uneven weight distribution makes a boat harder to handle, difficult to plane, and causes a list to one side, creating an uncomfortable wet ride for passengers. Using trim tabs independently, the driver can correct a listing condition. For example, if the port bow is high, push the port side bow down button, which lowers the trim tab on the starboard side, and vice versa. For increased speed and power, use your trim tabs in combination with your power trim. The power trim adjusts the prop, while the trim tabs trim the hull. With safety of utmost concern on the water, having the ability to adjust the boat's attitude for changes in speed, sea conditions, and shifting weight is crucial, while gaining performance and efficiency.
I just received my Bennett trim tabs that I'm going to be installing on this 25-foot Hydra-Sport. I'm unboxing them, and boy, these are some big, beefy tabs. So I opted to make me a template so I could get the correct location on the back of the boat instead of trying to hold 20-pound, 25-pound set of trim tabs up with one hand and mark my holes and do my measurements. I make templates up a lot in this situation. It makes it easier on me, especially when you're doing it by yourself. So I made my template. I get it mocked up on the back of the boat, and I'm seeing that this is going to be a difficult set of trim tabs to install because I have no clearance inside. I'm going to be running into the subfloor and stringer. Normally I don't run into this problem. Every now and then you do. Sometimes you run into subfloor or part of the stringer. So I talked to Brian, showed him what I was going to have to do. He agreed upon it, so I moved forward. I removed part of the stringer and subfloor to make sure I had good clearance for my fittings that's going to go on the hydraulic hoses. Once I drill all my holes, now I'm going to mount the tab itself to the boat. I get that secured down with 5200. Everything's looking good. Then I'm going to install the actuator. This one fought me a little bit. I had to use a little bit of muscle on it to get it to go through. Nothing a dead blow hammer wouldn't take care of. So got it up, got it mounted. Everything looked good, so I attached the actuator to the trim tab plate itself on the bottom. Got that mounted up, cleaned up all the excess 5200, wham, ready to move on to the other side. All said and done, it was a good installation. Took a little longer than expected or normal, because each actuator has its own separate pump, which was no problem, with the mounting of the pumps. It was just the mounting of the actuator itself going through the transom and running into the stringer. Well, these tabs are going to really help the performance of this boat. I can't wait to see, because they are big tabs. It's better to overkill than underkill, because if you ain't got enough tab back there and you mount these tabs, they're pretty much going to be useless.
When we return, the crew at MCU installs a custom engine bracket on the 23-foot Seacraft project.
This segment brought to you by Birdsall Marine Design, quality marine and sport fishing products.
Birdsall Marine Design has been a leader in aftermarket and custom boating accessories for over 35 years. Based in West Palm Beach, our facility specializes in the manufacturing of custom T-tops, leaning posts, consoles, rod holders, marine canvas and upholstery products, and a wide variety of anodized aluminum hardware. Come visit our spacious West Palm Beach facility anytime, or visit us on the web at birdsallmarine.com to learn more about our most innovative products.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat.
Join us as the crew at MCU installs a custom engine bracket on the 23-foot Seacraft project.
All right, so we've got the 23 Seacraft that we're doing for Taylor Mason. We've enclosed the transom, and we're getting ready to add the bracket on the back. One of his major pet peeves on this boat was to make sure he didn't get any more water back in the back of the boat. It's a common problem you see in some of these outboard boats in the smaller range, is that the water line is very close to the deck of the boat. You're always getting water coming into the cockpit. Closing in the transom, putting a buoyancy chamber bracket on the back, changes that completely. So we're gonna get the legend, Steve, the legend in his own mind, to install the bracket on the back of the 23 Seacraft.
The bracket just came in for this 23-foot Seacraft. I need to get moving on this project. The guys in the glass and paint shop did a wonderful job. They give me a good flat surface to work with on the back of this one. So I got to do my mocking up. This is going to be a twin engine bracket. When you got a dual engine installation, the engines are going to be spread apart. So you got to find the center line of the engines on the back of the boat, which first you find the center line of the boat. Then you measure from your center line over, this case turned out to be 13 inches each way. The engines are offset 26 inches of the center line. Once I found the center line of each engine, then I would measure up 23 inches to center line of each engine to get the height of my bracket. I take some measurements before I pre-drill anything. You make a mistake, then the guys in the fiberglass shop have got more work to do. They won't be happy because they're behind and they're busy. So fortunately for me, I've installed a lot of the brackets. I've made mistakes over the years, and I've learned from the mistakes, and I apply them to my installation. See, the problem with the older Seacrafts like that is there's scuppers on the side. They're mounted just about at the water line, so you get 2-3 people back there, you're going to have water coming back through the scuppers. Well, adding this bracket is going to give the boat more flotation, so the drain scuppers on the sides are going to be higher up out of the water, so you'll be able to get more weight on the back of the boat without the water running back into the deck. And also, you would have a problem with water coming over the splash well. On this boat, we enclosed the transom and we put a live well back there, so that solved that problem right there. Plus you got more room in the back of the boat now. Now you got 3 guys back there. You got one fighting the fish, you got one ready to work the gaff, and the other guy's just in the way. But now you got more room. It also helps out top end performance and fuel mileage. You're able to get the engines up out of the water further, so you have less drag, you got more flotation, cleaning speed is quicker, handling is a lot better, and just all around, it really helps the boat out. This bracket, like I said, I had a good flat surface on the boat to work with, so this installation went a lot quicker than some of the installations that I run into. I had good clearance inside for all my through bolts. A few lag bolts I had to use because where the live well's at, which was no problem. This was a pretty quick installation on this Seacraft.
When we come back, the crew at MCU runs into some unexpected trouble with the 23-foot Seacraft project.
This segment brought to you by Marine Customs Unlimited. You dream it, we build it.
We do it all. Custom fiberglass repair, upholstery and canvas work, custom dash panels, specializing in insurance claims, Suzuki and Yamaha sales and service. We do it all. One-stop boat shop, home of fantastic plastics and the fiberglass shop.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat.
With the bracket installed on the 23-foot Seacraft, the crew at MCU works against the clock to add some much-needed horsepower.
All right, so we're back to Taylor Mason's 23 Seacraft. He's made the decision to go with the F-150 Yamahas. Now he's based this off of the fact that the boats ran great with the 150 Mercuries over the years. It just was a lot on gas. He wasn't real happy with the way the boat smoked a lot with 2 strokes, things like that. So it was easy for me to help Taylor make the decision on the F-150s for this boat.
Now the bracket installation on this 23-foot Seacraft is complete. We're ready to hang the engines. Get my partner Dave, we unpackage the engines, we uncrate them, we get ready to hoist them. Dave brings up a good point. Wow, which one of these engines is the counter-rotating engines? We start checking the ID tags out. Yes, correct. Both of them are F-150s. There should be a FL-150. L indicates left-hand rotating gear case.
Getting ready to hang the motors. We got them all uncrated, and we soon realized that we had both standard rotating engines by, the serial numbers. So we're a bit flustered. We're working out in the heat and all that kind of stuff.
We cross-referenced the boxes. The boxes actually have the ID number of the engine on the box, okay? But I'm looking at the box, yes, there's a black magic marker that they wrote an L on. I don't know if that was for shipping or what.
We're looking to try to figure out, get to the bottom of this, and we're trying to get a hold of Brian. Of course, he's busy like usual, so we're extra flustered and want to wring his neck.
So we're checking serial numbers. We get with Brian. Brian informs us that the distributor that we got these engines from did not have a left, but they had a counter-rotating gear case, which they installed on the one engine. ID tag told me I had 2 right-hand engines. Well, not knowing that they swapped the lower unit on me, well, I'm lost.
So if these 2 wing nuts were paying attention, there is a different way to designate whether it's a right-hand or left-hand rotation, but apparently my master technician didn't pay attention and pull the zinc off and take a look at that. So I guess it got reversed onto me, like I didn't explain it deep enough for them. So they got all confused and were all nervous. They totally blew this out of proportion.
I do know to look for certain things because Yamaha did get rid of the L designation on the lower unit. It has been relocated. At the time, I just didn't think about it. So, extra flustered and, like I said, nothing was labeled. And so ultimately it was Brian, like usual.
Dave was agreeing with me. Dave was like looking at the ID tag on the engine and saying, no, it's a right-hand engine. I need a left-hand rotating engine. Are we putting 2 standard rotating engines on this boat or what? So we had to talk to Brian. Oh no, one of them lower units has been changed. I was like, wow. A little late on that information. Having a counter-rotating engine with a standard rotating engine actually helps the boat track straight. If you've got 2 right-hand rotating engines, it's going to have a lot of torque going one way, which you're going to be fighting with the steering. So that's why they do a counter and a standard rotating engine. It actually counter reacts each engine to get a straight track line. So once we did determine which was which, everything moved on smoothly. Usually I mount the left engine first because you got the rigging on the inside. Once you mount that engine, then you can tie up the rigging and you don't have another engine in your way. A lot of times when you're hanging the engine, it's crooked like this, okay? So I use a jump box and I bring the mounting bracket out even with the transom of the boat so you don't have to fight it. It just makes it easier. So we get engines up to the back of the boat. Now we got to determine the height that we're going to mount these engines. For every 10 inches that the bracket is away from the back of the boat, you can take that cavitation plate up 1 inch. In this case, we're 30 inches, so I can actually go up 3 inches higher with this engine than if it was normally mounted right to the transom.
Yeah, in the end, we were able to put it together and get it all taken care of. You know, got the engine sung, and not a big deal after that. You know, so.
We figured it out. We got the job done, and the rigging turned out beautiful. Seacraft is turning out awesome.
So after Dave and Steve got the engines installed on the back of the 23 Seacraft, I made a call out to Taylor Mason. He got his dad on an airplane. The two of them flew in from Texas, and I took them for a boat ride. It was the first time they've seen the boat since we completed it, and it came out awesome. They were totally ecstatic. Dave East from Florida Sportsman actually came out and went for a ride with us, and he was stoked too. We went over some things like the electronics, the engines, the layout, the seating. They're super, super hyped. This boat's ready to go to Ocean Reef. I'm gonna deliver it, take care of some money, get paid, and these guys are ready to go fishing.
When we return, FS Boating editor Dave East heads out with Taylor Mason, putting his new and improved 23-foot Seacraft to the test on the reefs out of Ocean Reef, Florida.
This segment brought to you by Armstrong, celebrating 25 years of creativity and innovation.
Do you have the Armstrong advantage? In its most basic form, an Armstrong outboard bracket improves the efficiency of your outboard motor. This equates to a faster time to plane and higher top speeds. The list of advantages continue with improved maneuverability, added space, and a quieter ride. Adding a swim platform accompanied by an Armstrong boarding ladder will certainly add to your day out on the water. Isn't it time for you to gain the Armstrong advantage?
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat.
Join us as FS Boating editor Dave East meets with Taylor Mason to put his new and improved 23-foot Seacraft to the test on the reefs out of Ocean Reef, Florida.
Taylor, I've really been looking forward to coming down here to the Keys and testing your boat. I mean, I know we ran it in Stewart that time, and it was really kind of just a short run, a shakedown cruise, and I was impressed with it then. But now that we've had some time to really get out and fish the boat, wow, I love the boat. I love what you've done to it.
Thanks, Dave. We're really excited. I mean, it's a special project for me, and it came out really well. I couldn't be happier with the end product.
All right, well, let's go a little bit through the build and how the things that you did to the boat apply to what we did today on the boat. Because
Absolutely.
that boat fishes and rides so good. You know, go back to the engines and the bracket, the way that boat rode out today, and it really wasn't rough, but it was bumpy.
We had some chop.
Yeah, to have those motors further back like that makes a huge difference.
And the trim tabs, we could put the bow down and plow through that little bit of chop that we had.
Well, too, your big Garmin unit, we were able to go and look for the areas that we were wanting to fish. You know, we tried going deeper,
Yep.
and really didn't see a lot of stuff on the bottom, and it was nice to have that bottom machine to know that, because we would have wasted a lot of time there. I think if we weren't able to see the bottom as detailed as we did, I think we'd have probably wasted a couple of hours and come up empty and end up moving anyway.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We were able to spend some time there, dropped the hook, looked around, put the chum bag in back, and didn't see much action on top or the bottom, and knew pretty quick, wrong spot, move on.
Right. So moving in a little bit shallower, seemed like the fish were there.
Yep. Saw some good spots on the chart plotter that might make sense, and then got closer, followed the bottom machine, found a good spot to tie up, and had a great time.
Yeah, once the chum went out, it didn't take long. The yellowtail showed up, the ballyhoo showed up. We ended up catching some nice yellowtail. Caught every grunt. I think that's down here in the Keys.
Yep.
In a few strawberry grouper, and you got that one really nice snapper.
Yep.
So I think that's, I mean, if that's the way you're going to use the boat down here, primarily, it's perfect. Now, I know this winter, you talked about wanting to take it out sail fishing. And I think the way you've set it up, it's perfect for that as well. Well, I didn't see the T-top before, and you were telling me the condition that was in, but to look at it now, it looks like it's brand new.
Oh man, it looks great. You did a really nice job with that.
Yeah, I like the way the paint matches everything, your handrails, your T-top. Really, really look good. Here again, we keep talking about the bracket, the amount of room we had in the back. We could have had 3 or 4 more anglers with us and had no problem. Nobody would have been in each other's way.
It felt like a different boat from 5 years ago. It really did. We'd never had that much room in the back, especially with you and I standing back there and all the ice and everything else and all the gear we had back there. It never really felt too crowded. We're never too far sagging deep. It just worked out really well. My brother and I had been diving out of the Hydra-Sport Reef for a long time, and we were out there today for a little while. And while we didn't have dive gear on, it was great getting back into the boat, just kind of hopping off that ladder with flippers and then pivoting on the platform and just getting off. It was so much better, and that was really an added benefit that I didn't think I would appreciate as much as I do now, having that platform back there.
Well, you're going to have a lot of uses for that platform. Like today, that one bait or the fish that fell out of my hand.
That's right, yeah.
If that bracket hadn't been back there, we'd have lost that fish.
Yep.
And I was able to jump back there. There's a lot of things. If you get a big fish on and you've got to fight him around the engines, that platform's high enough out of the water because you've got enough displacement there that it helps the boat actually float higher. You can actually step back there and fight a fish around those motors. And here again, going back to the Yamaha 4-strokes, wow, that's got to be a huge improvement over your old 2-strokes.
It's a night and day difference. I mean, you and I, just to begin with the noise, I mean, you and I were having a conversation on the way back in up on plane. We would never have done that back with the old motors.
Oh, no.
And on top of it, the fuel burn was terrific. I think we burned 11 gallons all day, something like that. We went out to the reef for hours and came back in, and the fuel burn was next to nothing by comparison to the old days.
All right, for anyone out there that's considering doing something like this to their own boat, I know you worked well with Brian, and I think you were pretty impressed with him. Are there any pitfalls that they may plan for, or if you could give anybody any advice that wanted to mirror what you did, what would it be?
So I think the one thing we learned here, Dave, or I guess my one piece of advice to other people who might undertake a similar project, is that you have to be prepared for the unexpected. Things you thought wouldn't be a problem may be a problem.
Right.
And that was really the case for us on the wiring.
Taylor, thank you very, very much for your hospitality. I love coming to the Keys, but to come down today and be able to experience your first true fishing trip on your new boat, the way you've got it set up, I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. The boat is amazing. I think your vision and what Brian did to the boat turned out to be absolutely a gem.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. We had a great time today, and I had a great time on the project. This was a great end to everything else. This is obviously a special boat to me, a special project to me. And I think it's something we'll have for a long time as a family, and as long as I'm around, the boat's not going anywhere, that's for sure.
With an initial purchase cost of $40,000, after adding $65,000 in custom modifications at MCU, the cost of Taylor's Dreamboat comes to a total of $105,000. Next time on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat, with the finishing touches being put on the 25-foot Hydra-Sports build, Rick Weinstein travels to Stuart, Florida to pick up his completed Dreamboat. Ready to ride in style, FS Boating editor Dave East joins Rick on the maiden voyage.
I am a master technician.
So these two wing nuts totally blew this out of proportion.
Yamalube is probably one of the better things to get you coated. Sometimes it helps with the chafe at the end of the day, but you know.
Each month, turn to Florida Sportsman for the best in boating and fishing coverage.